My husband told me I was being paranoid when I said his coworker was crossing boundaries. Then I found their texts and forwarded them to her fiancé. The wedding was canceled in under 24 hours. I'm Leah, 32, female. I haven't slept properly in 3 weeks, and the sound of a phone notification now makes my stomach twist. You ever get that bone-deep feeling that something's wrong, but every time you bring it up, you're treated like a hysterical child? That was me, until I found the texts. And what I did next, well, let's just say the wedding didn't happen. Not theirs, not mine. Let me rewind. My husband, Jake, 35, male, and I have been married for 6 years. We met in the most cliché way possible. Coffee spill, clumsy apologies, some flirty banter about almond milk, and boom. He was charming, patient, the kind of guy who made a point of asking how your day was and actually listened. He's an architect, likes clean lines, muted colors, balance, and maybe that should have been the first sign. His obsession with balance often meant sweeping conflict under the rug, which brings us to Holly, 28, female, his coworker. From the moment he introduced her at his firm's holiday party, something in me froze. She had this way of laughing a little too hard at his jokes, standing a little too close. I told myself not to be one of those wives. Jealous, insecure, possessive. But then she started texting him on weekends, sending TikToks just because, complimenting his shirts like she picked them. And Jake, he brushed it off. She's just friendly, babe. You're being paranoid. Every time I brought it up, I got the same calm, condescending tone. You know I'd never cheat on you. I love you. Don't let your imagination run wild. So I tried. I really did. I swallowed the pit in my stomach and smiled through dinners, massages, attempts at reconnecting. But the signs kept piling up. He changed his phone password, started staying late more often. I found a receipt for a sushi place we've never been to, with 2 entrees. He swore it was for a client. And then there was that night. I was folding laundry in the bedroom, just a normal Tuesday, when his phone buzzed. He was in the shower. I didn't even mean to look. I just glanced. It was a message preview from Holly. I miss you already. That was it. That emoji. The smugness of it. Like she knew. I sat there, frozen, holding one of his t-shirts in my hand like it might explode. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. He came out of the bathroom, towel around his waist, humming like nothing in the world was wrong. I didn't say a word. I kissed him on the cheek, smiled, and asked if he wanted Thai for dinner. That night, while he slept, I waited. And around 2:14 a.m., when he rolled over and started snoring, I unlocked his phone. Because here's the thing he forgot. We once synced our fingerprint IDs during some couple's tech workshop. Romantic, right? What I saw in those texts, I couldn't breathe. He told her she was the light in his dull life, said he wished he'd met her before me, called her his second chance. She called him my almost. There were photos, a hotel confirmation, and worst of all, a screenshot of my Instagram with the caption, "She still thinks we're fine." Hey. I didn't cry, I just forwarded the whole thread to myself. And then I found her fiancé's contact info. I stared at the ceiling the rest of that night, not moving, not even blinking. My fingers were ice cold, but my chest was burning. Rage and humiliation swirled together so violently I thought I might puke. But above all of that, there was this horrifying stillness. Like the part of me that used to trust Jake had finally gone silent. Holly's fiancé, Aaron, 30, male, was someone I'd only met once, at a work barbecue last summer. He brought vegan brownies and spent half the party trying to get the Bluetooth speaker to sync. He seemed nice, normal, and completely unaware that the woman he was about to marry was busy playing house with my husband. At 7:03 a.m., I sent him the screenshots. No note, no context, just the cold, ugly truth. Then I sat on the couch and waited for the explosion. Jake came downstairs around 8, rubbing his eyes, yawning like a man with zero secrets. He kissed my forehead and asked if we were out of oat milk. I looked at him for a long time, really looked, and I realized something. I didn't love him anymore. I loved who I thought he was. The man who built me bookshelves and made me playlists, not the one who talked about our marriage like a cage behind my back. An hour later, Aaron responded, "Thank you. I needed to see this." That was all he said. But it hit like a sledgehammer, because it meant he knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. By noon, Holly had called Jake 3 times. He ignored it. By 2 p.m., she showed up at his office. And by 5:47 p.m., I got a DM from her sister on Instagram. "Are you happy now?" "Yeah, kind of." The next 24 hours were chaos. I found out through a mutual friend that Aaron canceled the wedding venue, sent an email blast to all the guests. Her family was blindsided. His family? Apparently, they applauded him, said he dodged a bullet. Jake, meanwhile, was unraveling. He came home that night looking pale, shaking. I was on the balcony with a glass of wine, watching the city lights blink like Morse code for "get out now." He sat beside me and said nothing for a long time. Then, did you tell Aaron? I didn't even look at him. Nope, Holly did. In the text you didn't bother to delete. He ran a hand through his hair and let out this pathetic, hollow laugh. She's a wreck, he said. Says I ruined her life. I turned my head then, met his eyes. Good. She helped ruin mine. He opened his mouth to argue, to spin it, to reach for whatever thread of sympathy he thought might still exist, but I was already standing. I'm moving out, I said. Don't bother pretending we can fix this. He followed me inside, begging now, voice cracking, apologizing, promising therapy, honesty, change, all the things I'd asked for before I became the dull life he mocked to his side chick. And when I didn't cave, he screamed. He actually screamed, this guttural, helpless howl, and hurled his phone across the room. It shattered against the fridge like something out of a bad movie. Then he dropped to his knees, sobbing. It should have made me feel something. But all I felt was relief. I didn't move. I stood there watching my husband, the man who used to warm my feet under the covers, who once cried at our wedding vows, collapsed on our kitchen floor, ugly crying next to a dented fridge and his obliterated phone, and I felt nothing. Just this eerie, almost serene detachment, like I was watching a stranger grieve a story I no longer believed in. You lied, I said, flat and quiet. You gaslit me for months. You made me question my instincts. And now you want comfort? He was shaking. Leah, I didn't mean for this to happen. It got out of hand. I love you. I do. It wasn't supposed to go this far. I wanted to scream. Instead, I whispered, you told her you wished you met her before me. What exactly is too far, Jake? He didn't answer. I walked upstairs, grabbed the suitcase from the back of the closet, and started packing the essentials. Toothbrush, laptop, that one sweatshirt from college that still smelled like lavender detergent, and late-night cramming sessions. The photos stayed on the dresser. I couldn't bring myself to touch them. Jake followed me. Please don't do this, he said. We can go to counseling. We can fix it. I was stupid, but I didn't stop loving you. I turned, hands clenched around a pair of socks. You didn't just cheat. You let her laugh at me. You let her turn me into a joke. You looked at my face every day and still chose her. That's not love, Jake. That's cowardice. He tried to block the door when I walked out. I stared him down, and for a second, I saw something flicker in him. Fear, panic, regret. I didn't care. I stepped around him. I stayed with my best friend Monica that night. When she opened the door and saw the suitcase, she didn't ask. Just hugged me so tight I finally started to cry. The ugly kind. With hiccups and shoulder shaking. She made cocoa and let me fall apart on her couch while her cat nestled against my hip like it knew. The next morning, Monica told me Holly had gone full meltdown. Aaron hadn't just canceled the wedding. He posted the screenshots. Yep, posted them. Facebook, full gallery, with the caption, "This is what betrayal looks like. Wedding's off. Thanks to the wife of the man she was screwing, I now know the truth." It exploded. Her extended family was tagged. Her grandma commented. People from their college days were sharing it like wildfire. Apparently, Holly's little influencer bubble burst in real time. And the kicker? She tried to call me. Left a voicemail sobbing, saying I didn't have to ruin her life like that, and that I should have handled it woman to woman instead of being a spiteful bitch. She said I robbed her of her future. I stared at the phone in my hand and laughed. Actually laughed? Because the audacity of this woman trying to make me the villain after seducing my husband? It was almost art. Almost. Monica leaned over and said, "You know you're not done, right?" And that's when I remembered the photos on our nightstand and the video file on the baby monitor app Jake forgot we even had. So here's where it stops being heartbreak and starts becoming strategy. The baby monitor was this leftover relic from when my sister stayed with us after having her first kid. We kept it around because Jake insisted it was useful tech and hooked it up in the guest room. Motion sensor, two-way audio, HD recording, the works. We mostly forgot it was there. But a few weeks ago, he'd asked Holly to house sit while we were away visiting my dad. I'd been sick that weekend and we never ended up leaving. He forgot to cancel. She showed up anyway. And I caught her on the monitor, drinking wine on my couch, wearing my robe. I'd saved the clip. Didn't even know why at the time. Just a gut instinct. And now? Now it was the final nail in her glitter-coated coffin. I posted it to a private drive. No commentary. Just the footage. Holly pouring herself a second glass of Malbec from our wedding stash, turning on our Netflix account, making a FaceTime call where she called me the clueless wife. Her exact words? She thinks he's still in love with her. It's almost cute. I didn't post it publicly. I sent it directly to Holly's employer. She worked in PR. Image mattered a lot. And then, just to be thorough, I sent it to the venue where their wedding had been planned. Turns out she'd used her company email to book it. Just a little heads up about why the cancellation happened. Nothing aggressive, just facts. You know what I got in return? Her job status updated on LinkedIn the next morning. Former communications director. Jake didn't know yet. He was too busy playing the grief-stricken husband act, sending me long emails titled, "Remember Us?" and "Don't Throw Away 6 Years." He sent flowers to Monica's place. She threw them in the garbage and sent me a photo, red roses and all. Then came the escalation. Holly showed up at Monica's apartment, screaming, literally banging on the front door like she was in a Lifetime movie, swearing up a storm, telling me I ruined her entire life, that I wasn't even the one being cheated on because clearly I wasn't wife material to begin with. She was barefoot, crying, clutching her phone like it might still fix things. Monica called the cops. Holly sped off before they arrived, but the building had cameras. I made sure to forward that footage too, not to the cops, to her mom. Thanks, Facebook. Later that night, Jake left me a voicemail, slurred words, said he hoped I was happy, that Holly was spiraling and it was breaking his heart to see her in pain. I played it twice just to make sure I heard it right. Then I blocked his number, but the real closure came the next morning, when I woke up to a message from Aaron. It was a photo, the shattered engagement ring resting in a toilet bowl captioned, "She flushed it. Thought you'd appreciate the poetry." Yeah, I did. Update 1. Alright, Reddit. I didn't expect the flood of DMs, comments, and unhinged theories, but holy hell, y'all delivered. First off, thank you to the 200 plus of you who said, "You're a better woman than me, I'd have burned the house down." Tempting, very tempting. But I went for surgical strikes, not scorched earth. Let me catch you up. Apparently this blew up way bigger than I thought. A coworker texted me a TikTok someone made about the whole saga, using dramatic music and blurry screenshots. People are arguing in the comments about who's more delusional, Jake or Holly. My vote, Holly by a nose. Girl thought side chick energy would translate into wife status. A few FAQs from the chaos. Did Jake try to come see you in person? Yes. 3 days after the Holly front door meltdown, he showed up outside Monica's place. I saw him from the window, pacing like he was auditioning for a sad indie movie. Monica, absolute queen, walked out, looked him dead in the eye and said, "This woman already buried you. Leave the ghost alone." He left. What happened with Holly's job? She got fired. Not for the affair, that's technically personal, but misusing company resources, her work email, her client account login during the sick day she spent lounging in my robe, was enough to trigger a formal review. My file of receipts just helped connect the dots. What's Aaron doing now? Living his best life. Last I heard, he booked a solo trip to Spain to get sunburned and drunk, in that order. He sent me a selfie with a sangria in one hand and a thumbs up in the other. The caption, "You and I deserve better. Thanks for the wake-up call. Have I filed for divorce yet?" Yep, papers served. Jake responded with a handwritten letter. Actual pen and paper. 3 pages of rambling poetry about fate and forgiveness, and how no one else knows his soul like I do. I didn't read it all. Just folded it into a paper plane and let it glide off Monica's balcony. But here's the part that really hit me, and why I'm writing this update. My mom called. She'd heard from someone at church, asked if the rumors were true. I told her yes, flatly. No details. She went quiet for a second, then said, "I always thought Jake seemed too smoothed over, like furniture with no edges." And for the first time, I laughed. Because yeah, that's exactly what he was. Polished, presentable, empty. This whole thing, it cracked me open. I'm grieving, sure, but not just the marriage. I'm grieving all the times I doubted myself, all the little moments I let go of because I didn't want to seem paranoid. I was never crazy. I was right. And now, I'm job hunting in a new city, thinking about getting my own place with ugly curtains and bad lighting and no lies. The chaos is far from over, but for the first time in months, I feel free. Jake did not take the divorce papers like a grown man. Not even close. I expected tears, maybe some angry texts. What I got instead was a full-on theater-grade meltdown that started with a passive-aggressive email titled, "So this is what love means to you," and escalated into him showing up at my work. Yep, at my freaking job. I'm a paralegal at a mid-sized law firm, busy, boring, and very not the place for soap opera antics. But this clown decided to walk into the lobby with a bouquet of limp-looking daisies and a framed photo of our wedding. I swear to God, the receptionist texted me, "Your ex is here," and he's holding memories? I ducked into the break room, heart pounding. Not because I was scared of him, Jake's not violent, just desperate, but because I knew if he made a scene, I'd never live it down. I waited. 10 minutes. Then 15. Finally peeked into the hallway. He was gone. But he'd left the photo with a note scrawled across the back in Sharpie. "You're erasing us." I refused to be erased. I was so angry I actually laughed. Like, is that how this works now? You betray your wife, get caught, humiliate yourself, and then blame her for not staying in the ruins with you? That night, he sent a new email. No subject line. Just a photo of our wedding cake smeared across our old kitchen counter. Caption, Happy anniversary to no one. He was unraveling. Bad. I blocked his number again. Blocked the email. Sent a heads up to my lawyer, but Jake wasn't done. The next day, Monica called me in a panic. You need to come to your old apartment. Right now. I drove over, thinking maybe something had happened to the property. I wasn't prepared for what I found. He had trashed the place. Not destroyed. Just defiled. Petty, calculated destruction. Every photo of us, slashed through the middle. My dresses, shoved in trash bags, soaking wet, dumped in the bathtub. He'd dumped candle wax on the mattress. Spelled out, I remember everything, with Scrabble tiles on the living room floor. The creepiest part? He'd left a single red rose on the pillow like some twisted funeral. I stood there in silence, the smell of lavender and wax thick in the air, and I realized something bone deep. He never loved me. Not really. He loved the idea of me. The stability, the admiration, the image. And the second I stopped being passive and started fighting back, he lost control of the narrative and himself. So I called the cops, filed a report, took photos, changed the locks. Again, he'd apparently copied the old key. And then I did the pettiest, most satisfying thing I've done in my life. I sent the photos to his new boss. Remember how Jake got promoted last month to lead architect? Big deal. High-profile clients. Clean image. Respectability matters. And one of those clients? Monica's dad. Guess who got called into a disciplinary meeting the next day? Guess who might be facing professional conduct evaluation for his off-the-clock behavior? Yeah, Karma has a building permit. So Jake's firm found out. Let me paint the scene for you. Pristine lobby, modern art on the walls, that faint, lemony clean smell expensive buildings always have, and Jake getting called into a conference room with HR and the head of client relations. Why? Because Monica's dad, who, may I remind you, is literally the guy paying Jake's firm 6 figures a month, walked into his office holding a manila envelope. Inside, photos of the trashed apartment, the wax-covered mattress, the Scrabble tiles, a copy of the police report, and a sticky note with my name and case number. Jake apparently turned white, like dead fish in a snowstorm white. I wasn't there, obviously, but Monica's dad called me after and said he sat there stammering like a kid who just got caught stealing crayons, then had the nerve to say you pushed him to that point. Let that sink in. He cheated, lied, manipulated, then vandalized the apartment, and somehow I pushed him. His punishment? Not firing. They weren't that bold, but they froze his promotion, pulled him off all client-facing roles, and assigned him to internal projects only. Translation? He's sitting in a cubicle redoing blueprints for HVAC units while everyone whispers about him by the espresso machine. Meanwhile, Holly is nowhere to be seen. Rumor has it she moved back to her parents' house in Vermont. I got one last voicemail from her. Slurred, full of sobbing, and something about ruining multiple lives. I didn't even save it. Just pressed delete. But here's the twist. Jake still didn't stop. The man showed up at my sister's baby shower, uninvited, wearing the same suit he wore at our wedding. I was talking to my cousin by the mimosa bar when I saw him through the window, standing in the backyard like a goddamn specter, holding a wrapped gift and a photo album. My brother-in-law intercepted him before I had to. Apparently, Jake said he was just dropping off memories, and that he still felt like part of the family. That album? It was photos of our honeymoon, annotated, with notes in the margins. I was smiling here, but I felt empty. This was the last night I believed we'd make it, like we were some failed war story he was submitting for review. My mom, who'd been weirdly neutral this whole time, took one look at him and said, "You need help, Jake, and you need to leave before I call security." He left, quietly, this time. Thank God. But it still shook me, because that level of delusion, it's not just sad, it's dangerous. It made me realize that the man I married was never really who I thought he was. He'd been performing love, copy-pasting affection, and now that the script had changed, he was spiraling without a role to play. I spent that night on the couch, curled up with Monica and a bottle of wine, rewatching Kill Bill, and somewhere around the scene where Beatrix finally claws out of the grave, Monica turned to me and said, "You're her now. You know that, right?" I smiled. "Yeah, I know. Update 2. All right, Reddit. Final update. I didn't think I'd write this, but too many of you kept asking, did he get what he deserved? So here it is. The final nail, the last word, the moment I walked away and he finally understood what he lost. The court date came faster than expected. Jake looked like a shadow of himself. Hair unkempt, shirt wrinkled, no tie. Like someone who hadn't been sleeping, which, good. Meanwhile, I walked in with my lawyer, new haircut, calm as hell, rocking the black suit I bought with Holly's old discount code when she still worked in PR. Poetic, I know. He tried to make eye contact. I didn't flinch. We settled fast. No alimony, no property fight. I gave up my claim to the condo because, frankly, I didn't want anything tied to him. I wanted clean exits, fresh pages, But before we left, the judge asked if we had any final statements. I stood up, looked Jake straight in the eye. This man told me I was paranoid, that I was insecure, that I imagined the betrayal that was literally happening in front of me. He made me question my worth, my sanity, and my ability to trust my own gut. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just awake. He didn't say a word. His jaw clenched. His knuckles went white against the table. And then came the twist I'd been saving. Outside the courthouse, I handed him a plain manila envelope, just like the one Monica's dad used. Inside, not photos, not letters, just a single printed email from the condo's homeowners association, confirming the new tenant application from Aaron. Yeah, Aaron. We signed a short-term lease last week, not because we're dating. We're not. Not yet anyway. But because he needed a new place, and I happen to own half of one. I figured it'd be poetic justice for Jake to hear Aaron's laughter echo down the same hallway he used to sneak Holly through. Jake read the email, then looked up at me like I'd just flipped the world sideways. "You're moving in, Aaron?" "No," I said, smiling. "Aaron's moving into your memory. I've already moved on." And with that, I got in the Uber and never looked back. That was 2 weeks ago. Now, I'm living in a new city. Got a new job. I'm decorating my tiny apartment with clashing curtains and cheap plants I'm 50-50 on keeping alive. I drink wine alone and laugh too loud at old shows. I feel peace like I forgot peace could exist. Jake sent one last email, just the subject line. "You win." I didn't open it. I just smiled, because I didn't win. I escaped. It's funny what freedom tastes like. I always thought it would feel loud, like fireworks or applause or some triumphant movie soundtrack blasting in my ears. But no, it's quiet. It's waking up on clean sheets in a room where no one lies to you. It's drinking coffee without checking someone's phone screen out of the corner of your eye. It's peace. And I didn't realize how starved I was for it until I got away. I moved into a small loft about 40 minutes from the city. Nothing fancy. Exposed brick, creaky pipes, a couch I built from a flat-pack box and rage, but it's mine. No shared drawers, no ghost perfume smells, no need to be the cool wife while someone else turns your trust into a playground. I painted one of the walls yellow. I know, it sounds stupid, but for years Jake said bold colors made a place feel claustrophobic. That neutral was cleaner, calmer. I used to agree. Now, that mustard yellow is the loudest middle finger I've ever given. Monica helped me hang shelves. We put up photos, not of weddings or vacations, but of me, laughing, dancing, holding my niece. Moments I remember being real. We lit a cheap candle and toasted with wine that tasted like wet bark, but we drank it anyway, because it was a beginning. And here's the kicker. The thing I didn't expect after all this. People came out of the woodwork. Jake's old college friend messaged me. "I always thought something was off about how he talked about you, like he thought you were a prop." An ex-coworker of Holly's sent me a DM. "I'm so sorry. She used to talk about you like you were this clueless obstacle. You're not. You're a fucking icon." Even Aaron texted again. "Not about the lease. Just, hope your new place has ugly curtains. You deserve to be as loud as you want." He doesn't know it, but I cried when I read that. Because it wasn't romantic. It was respectful. And after all the performative apologies, pity roses, and love-bombing breakdowns from Jake, that quiet respect, it felt like oxygen. Jake, meanwhile, is unraveling in slow-mo. One of his coworkers reached out. Jake's been distracted at work, missed a deadline, showed up late. Apparently, he still asks if anyone's heard from me, tells people he regrets everything. Someone said he plays sad playlists at his desk, like a one-man Nicholas Sparks adaptation. And maybe that should satisfy me. But it doesn't. Because what happened to me wasn't just betrayal. It was erasure. It was every gut feeling dismissed, every instinct ridiculed, every boundary bent until it snapped. So I don't want revenge anymore. I want volume. I want bad art on my walls and bad takes in my group chat and loud opinions and louder joy. I want to be the kind of woman who walks into a room and doesn't shrink, not to keep the peace, not to seem cool, not to make a man feel taller. I want to be unapologetically real. And guess what? I'm getting there. One yellow wall at a time. It happened at Trader Joe's. I know, anticlimactic, right? After months of emotional carnage, shredded wedding photos, career-ending emails, and a woman in my robe crying on a security cam, you'd think the final moment would be something dramatic. But nope, it was near the cheese samples. I was debating between Gouda and cheddar when I heard a voice say my name. "Leah?" I turned, and there he was. Jake. He looked small. Not thinner or sicker, just shrunk. Like someone had vacuum-sealed the life out of him. He had a shopping basket with exactly 2 things in it. Rotisserie chicken and almond milk. The irony almost made me laugh. The same almond milk from the day we met. He blinked at me like he couldn't believe I was real. Like I hadn't existed outside his memory since the moment I left. "You look different," he said. "I am." We stood there for a moment while the hum of freezer units filled the silence. He looked down at his basket, then back at me. His voice dropped. Are you happy? It was a simple question. No bitterness, no pleading, just hollow curiosity. Like maybe if he heard yes, it would finally let him fall apart. I nodded. I'm not just happy, I said. I'm whole. His eyes welled, like actually glistened. I miss you, he whispered. I didn't. I didn't miss him. I missed who I thought he was. The man who made playlists for road trips and always carried extra chapstick for me. But the real Jake? The one who let another woman mock me in my own bed? Who performed love like it was a goddamn audition? That man? I mourned him once. He's dead to me now. So I nodded, politely, took my cheese, and walked away. No dramatic monologue, no tearful goodbye. Just me, walking toward the life I built without him. Arms full of wine and snacks and peace. As I reached the register, I texted Monica, ran into the ghost. Didn't haunt me, just looked sad and cold and alone. She replied, as he should. And maybe that's the real ending. Not some explosive revenge or viral mic drop, but quiet power. The kind that settles in your bones. The kind that whispers, you survived, and you chose yourself. So if you're reading this and you're doubting your instincts, don't. Trust the pit in your stomach. Trust the way your heart clenches when something feels off, because you're not paranoid. You're paying attention. And if someone tries to gaslight you into silence, burn the bridge, light it with truth, and roast a damn marshmallow on the flames.